Hello, everybody. This is Gary Housley with American Made Guitar Show. We had some technical difficulties. However, we made it back online. Let me just let everybody know in the chat room we're back. Hey, we're back. We had quite a few people in there that got bumped out, so I don't know what the technical difficulty was, but we are back for part 2 with Marko Jankovic and his guitars, man. And I'm talking about some amazing guitars here. Right as we got cut off, we were talking about 2016 Les Paul 50s tribute guitars, and we were kind of comparing these tributes with the classic Gibson guitars, Les Pauls. So we've covered the 50s tribute pretty well. Let's jump into the classic with the P90s. Now you've got the gold top on that one as well. Is that right, Marko?
Yeah, I'm a nerd for gold tops, and while I have Les Pauls and all kinds of finishes, but the gold tops to me are just like the ultimate classic look. And I have a 17 classic and an 18 classic, and they're just both absolutely fantastic. The one with the P90s is just an unbelievable guitar, great value. I mean, just I think it's really the best production guitar Gibson makes right now, unless you're going really high end or into the reissue series. But the 2017 and 2018 classics are truly, it's hard to find a $1,700, $1,800 guitar that has this much value. And the P90s are just a masterpiece pickup. These pickups just sound so unique, and you just cannot have a guitar collection 3 or 30 guitars without having a guitar with P90s in there. It's just a must.
Absolutely. And the P90s, I mean, compared to the other pickups and the other Gibsons, how would you describe the difference?
You know, they're so unique. They're like a mixture between a single coil and a humbucker, and they're very punchy, they're very aggressive, but contained within their aggression, and it just gives you kind of like that little, puts you a little back in time sound, the way I call it. It's definitely not the most modern sounding pickup, but it's not supposed to be. It has that really, you know, what I appreciate most about that pickup is just how unique it is, and nothing can mimic a P90. It's such a clear kind of cuts through anything, kind of like that cut through BS pickup. And I played it live the other day for the first time on a show a week ago. It's just it's a spectacular pickup on especially higher volumes when you're really driving the amp and you're in a live setting. And I love it. I absolutely highly recommend any guitar, any Les Paul with a P90 in it.
Right on. And now we're going to kind of transition over a little bit to, now you've got a couple of other Gibson Les Paul standards as well. And the standards, you got a 2014 and 2016. You're Gibson rich, man. I'm starting to see a pattern here, Marko.
Man, love me some good Les Pauls, man.
You know, you do this thing on Facebook. It's about Les Pauls and Fenders, right?
That's right. Yeah, we have a great group that I run with my friends Kalinka, Neri, Lee, and Stan, and it's a page for Les Pauls and Strats, or Gibson and Fender in general. I noticed that a lot of groups out there separate them, and I just cannot take anybody serious that thinks that one is better than the other, because all you're telling me if you think one is better than the other is that you're really missing out on the whole other half of music and music history. So I created this group with my friends where both are welcome, and people responded to it greatly. We're selective who we let in there. We're not concerned about having a lot of members, but rather members that truly love both. And to me, at the end of the day, Les Paul and Strat is the two corner pillars of music and guitar,
Oh, I do know, and that I share that same passion that you do, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show, is because you've got the passion. You don't just play these guitars, you talk, eat, live, and breathe these things, and I really admire that about you, Marko. Also, we got to talk about.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and we got to talk about another Strat Now, this is a great Strat. I've always wanted one of these myself. I want to talk about your 2014 Eric Clapton Strat.
Yeah, Blackie, that's it.
What do you think about Blackie?
Man, it's funny. I kind of hate myself for having been so ignorant with that guitar for the last 15 years. And the Clapton and the Malmsteen are the longest running signature model Fender makes. I walked into a guitar store maybe 10 years ago and tried a Clapton and kind of didn't like it because I was just really ignorant. And yeah, I couldn't afford, really American made guitars, and I had to play, all this, little cheaper stuff. And I had some, $500-$600 Ibanez's just so I can kind of play my gigs and get paid. And then recently I went to see a Clapton show, because I didn't want to miss the opportunity as all these guys are getting older. And I was so inspired and looking at all these great reviews, and everybody just swears about it, and was like, you know what? I think I'm missing something here. I gotta go and play one again with an open mind. And sure enough, I walked into a store, played one, and just felt like such an idiot for missing out on all these years of not owning one, of how great of a guitar it is. And again, I never go into a store looking for a signature model, because there's a lot of guitar players I admire and I would shine their shoes, but I would never buy their signature guitar. To me, it has to be a great guitar. And even worse, if somebody sells gear that they don't play themselves, I just can't stand that, and I picked up the Clapton, and Clapton really it's such a primitive, simple guitar, and it's such a great guitar that that little mid boost range it has, that V shape, the build quality of it, I just instantly fell in love with it, and hated myself for missing out on all these years of not owning it. And you know what? It's really a very affordable guitar. You can pick that thing up used for $1,200-$1,300, and it's just such a fantastic guitar for what it does. It truly is a guitar built for blues, for a feel rather than technical aspect. And I just love it. And there's not a week that goes by that I don't play it at least a few hours, just because of how unique it feels. That V-neck is not for everybody, but once again, kind of like the scallop fretboards, if you can get used to it, I think you're really going to love it. It is just a pure, simple, great Strat. And it just feels like that. It's just built for a workman musician rather than fancy schmancy. There's nothing fancy on that guitar. It's very simple. It's designed to play good, feel good, and to keep a working musician, and that's truly what it accomplishes to do.
Very well said, Marco. Now, transitioning a little bit into some other gear, let's talk about this Marshall JVM amp head that you have.
Yeah.
That's a killer amp head, dude. I mean, that is monster. What do you think about that?
Oh, that's just a masterpiece. I mean, there's nothing to be said. I have at home. I have two combos. I have a Marshall DSL 40, which is perfect for the home. I just picked up a Black Star HD60 Mark II, and that just came out. But obviously, needless to say, the JVM 410 head is I think it's one of those. I don't care what anybody says. That's about as good as it gets, and more so, it's good with any guitar you plug into. You plug in the Eric Johnson, you plug in the Les Paul, you plug in the Clapton, you plug in the Paul Reed Smith Custom. It just does. And then of course, when I plug in the R0, that's the sound of why we do what we do and why we are addicted to music. You plug in an R0 into that JVM 400 head, and especially if you're lucky to play live on volume, because you got to get that amp loud and warmed up. But oh boy, when that thing is warmed up, it's like a freaking locomotive. You just better get out of its way, because it just will run through anything in its way, man. It's unbelievable, that amp.
Awesome. That's very well said. Again, great answers, man.
Thank you, man.
The amp, when I look at it, it looks like two amps to me. Is this two channels, or what is the?
It's four.
4
No,
channels.
it's 4 channels. Yeah, and what's so great about it is that it's fully independent, and because a lot of other amps in the mid category price range, they share EQs and they share reverbs and they share a lot of things, which is okay. If you kind of have a more dialed in sound, of kind of that you use 80-90% of the time. The GBM 410, man, is there's so, it's just an unlimited amount of possibilities you have with that amp. Both the combo and the head, they're basically the same. And I needed something when I picked that up a while ago that can allow me not only for what I need for my personal sound, but because I play with other musicians and I constantly jump in when somebody is not available. Like last week when I played with Arden and the Wolves, I need something an amp that allows me to dial in sounds for what the sound of their band is, and that's not always the sound that I would use for myself. So I got to respect the band sound if they're it's different than mine. And what the JBM allows you to do, the 400 series, is really be a very versatile amp with respect to covering any clean sound, any distorted, any gain sound you need, anything in the middle and in between. And it's just the versatility of that amp is just stupid how versatile it is. It's unbelievable. Probably the most versatile amp I've ever owned.
Excellent review. Now moving on to the Marshall combo that you use as well, the DSL.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you use that for? Mainly for home?
You know what? It's just one of those Marshall masterpieces. Just it's a $700 amp, $600 amp, and it's unbelievable. It's just such a great little combo. It's just one of their kind of unspoken big hits, and it's just a wonderful little amp for at home. Wonderful little amp if you're playing a smaller club. You can play a 300-400 people a venue. I played on that little amp. It's not too heavy. It's just great to have as for something at home without having to put in the cabinet that I have in my rehearsal space. So it's just an absolute fantastic little combo. More so the value probably for I think the amp retails for $699, and I can tell you that hands down without even any competition close, there is no amp for $699 that in that price range that's better to me than the DSL 40C. It's an absolute masterpiece for the money.
Absolute masterpiece for the money. That you heard Marko say that himself. That is Marko's tag for that amp right there. Last but not,
that's my tag.
That's your tag for that amp right there.
They better endorse me for that tag.
I'm serious. They should definitely pay you for that one, man. That's for sure. But last but not least, and I've been hearing a lot about these amps lately, and it keeps coming up and keeps coming up. I'm talking about your Black Star amp. Like, what can you tell me about that model?
It's such a unique story, and I just posted a review on YouTube about that. I really fell in love with that amp. Long story short, a few weeks back, I was like, you know what? I want to get re-inspired. I want to go buy an amp, and I'm gonna put myself into some ground rules here before I go out there and go crazy with all these millions of amps available. The first rule was, it cannot be a Marshall. I want a couple more. There's no point in buying another Marshall. I don't want it to be a Fender amp. It's just so overplayed. Everybody has it. I want something new. I want something that isn't an imitation, but something that is its own thing. What's out there? And after a lot of review and spending hours on the internet and watching other people's reviews, just this Black Star thing kept coming back. And so I'll go on Sweetwater and I talked to my buddy. I'm like, hey, man, what's with these Black Star amps? I never really played them. I hear they're great. And he says, there's this Generation 2 coming out in a week of this very popular HT series. And I was like, look, I need something at least 50 watts up. I want it to be a combo. I need it to be big and beefy. And lo and behold, he's like, listen, in a week, I'm getting these HT60s. It's a 2x12. It's $900, $1,000. I'll give you a good deal. Try them, and they're wonderful store. And if I don't like it, I can send it back. And It arrived, what is it, 4 days ago. And oh boy, man, it's just so inspiring when you run into something new that you love, And it was risky for me because I purposely didn't go and research them with respect to playing them. I wanted to kind of have that childlike-ish take me by surprise. Am I going to fall in love with it, or am I just kind of going to be like, I should just stick with what I have and what works? And it's hard as a musician, as a guitar player, to kind of go and be open to new things, especially when you kind of build what works for you. And I tell you, these Black Stars, these Mark IIs, the HD6 is just superbly inspiring. The cleans on it are unbelievable. The gains are some of the best gains I've heard in a combo. I don't know how they did it, because usually on a higher volume setting, any amp in a cheaper category kind of becomes meshy with the gains. And this amp, even when you blow up the volume, really keeps them contained. And I'm talking just straight into the amp, just one cable. That's how I test my amps. Anything is going to sound good with effects, but this was a cable straight in, and it's truly, they did a great job. I became a Black Star fan, and I'm kind of interesting to ask because I don't have a history with Black Star. So the fact that I can say, hey, you know what, they won themselves a new client or a new customer is a big deal, because I'm usually somebody who's very skeptical of new gear, somebody who likes to really find the mistakes in gear. I really believe if something is made to a certain price point, it's got to deliver. I'm not a fan of gimmicks. I hate when they give you stuff that is gimmicky and doesn't work as advertised. And I'm very happy to say that I'm keeping the amp and not sending it back.
Keep it. That's absolutely wonderful. Yeah. You know what? Let's let everybody know again as we wrap up our interview for today. Let's let everybody know what you got going as far as your debut album coming out soon.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity. So January 6th, if you're in Los Angeles, go to facebook.com/Sir Jankovic and, come by. It's at the Federal in North Hollywood. We have the whole second floor. We're going to play the music video. It's going to be the premiere. The next day it'll be on YouTube, and I'm releasing my album also that same week. It's a beautiful instrumental album that celebrates the guitar and musicians and musicianship. And so that whole weekend of January 6th, the first weekend of 2018, we're going to start it strong, and it's very exciting. And I really appreciate anybody who takes the time to listen to it. I know guitar players are established out there, and I want to add something new and fresh to it. And then early next year, I'll be heading to Japan for some shows, and it's a very exciting period in my life. I'm being approached by some companies with respect to endorsements, and so it's a lot of hard work that's starting to pay off, and a lot of childhood dreams that are starting to come true. And again, just a testament to music and this great country of allowing us to do what we do, and just very, very, very happy and privileged to even be able to be in a position to release an album and have a premiere, and just really excited for January 6th. So when if you're in LA, hit me up, and please come to the party. I have open bar for a couple hours, so you don't need a big excuse to come to an open bar party on a Saturday night in LA. So let's start 2018 on the right note.
Thank you very much for the invite. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Gary Housley and Marko Jankovic here on the American Made Guitar Show. And I'd like to thank everybody for joining us over in the chat. Please subscribe and click that little bell down there for notifications, so whenever we have interviews with people like Marko, you'll be notified and you won't miss out. Thanks again, and remember, until next time, you got to keep it rocking.
Video production for the American Made Guitar Show by Gary Housley. Audio production by Wilgard Productions. Visit wilgardproductions.com for all your audio production needs.